Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and yesterday we had some brand new gameplay released for Lords of the Fallen. This is a game that I'm going to be checking out in October. There's already a deep dive into Lords of the Fallen here on the channel for those of you that are interested, but with this new gameplay released, a lot of you have asked, hey Rurikhan, can you make a video checking out the new gameplay? And that's exactly what we're doing here. Now I'm going to be pausing as we watch this gameplay, and I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on what is being shown from time to time. If you want to watch the original video, it is available on the official channel. I'll be sure to link it in the description down below in case you want to watch it without interruptions as well. But with that said, let's get things started and check out what is going down.
Welcome to Mornstead, a prominent region within the vast and sprawling world of Lords of the Fallen. In today's extended gameplay walkthrough, we're sharing an exclusive look at just some of the diverse and harrowing areas you'll journey through in your epic quest to overthrow Adir, the demon god.
When he said a deer, I was thinking like, wait, a deer? What do you mean? Like the animal? I thought he was talking about the animal. I was like, what? Skyrest Bridge. Okay, so it looks like we're starting off with a character that has a sword and shield. I hope they show us the UI. We have the lantern that will give us a glimpse into the other world. For those of you that are not aware, there's this mechanic in Lords of the Fallen where at least most levels are going to have two worlds, so to speak. There's going to be the regular world that we're in right now. They have specific names that I can't remember at this moment because my memory is terrible. And then they have another world which is like a darker world, and things are different, and I'm assuming there's going to be some puzzle solving and navigation between these two levels, and the key to that is the lantern that our character has right there. Also, when you die in this world, you're going to respawn in the other world, and you have to kind of like fight your way back to be in this one. But yeah, let's continue watching.
This is Skyrest Bridge. It is guarded by Pieta, she of the Blessed Renewal, one of the game's early boss encounters. We must triumph against her in order to proceed with our holy charge to restore radiance to the 6 beacons of the Sentinels and thwart Adir's uprising.
Okay, so you can swap between using sword and shield. They're going to hand her. Another important thing so far is I really like the way the character is moving. It feels very natural and flowy from the stuff that we've seen so far.
O holy Aureus, by your radiance grant me the strength to continue to endure these dark days, to lay bare the path to salvation. And yet you now appear before me, a stranger, a betrayal made flesh, and one I cannot brook.
Ooh. She's a big lady.
Melee, magic, and ranged abilities are seamlessly interwoven. Alongside standard attacks, you can choose between catalysts, bows, crossbows, or throwables, mapping up to 4 additional magic or range skills to your controller for immediate access. This rapidly speeds up combat and reduces the need to swap between options.
Ooh, parries with a counter.
As with many of the imposing bosses you'll encounter, Pieta has 2 very distinct stages. Death is not necessarily the end in Lords of the Fallen.
See what I told you? How we're going to die, and now the world started changing around us?
Slain in Axiom, the realm of the living, you'll resurrect in Umbral, the realm of the dead. We now have one final chance to survive.
Interesting. So this mechanic also applies to boss fights. So if you die in a boss fight, you can kind of like fight your way back. Ooh, the shield parry right there with the counter. Now, he is swapping weapons to do those spells, right? Like, watch, he's got the sword. As the attack, sheathes the sword and shield, which to me would indicate almost like a weapon swap into some kind of like amulet or focus or whatever you want to call it, a spell tool. Then he shoots like a magic arrow and swaps back. I don't know, the way that he is doing it, because like the way it's animating, it's making me think that maybe you don't have to swap, you just cast the spell and the spell automatically like sheets things and then does the magical stuff. Okay, so you succeeded in Umbral.
Though few and far between, these flowers denote special patches of ground upon which we can spawn a resting point, known as a vestige seedling. These come at a significant resource cost, however, and we can only spawn one at a time. The realms of Axiom and Umbral exist in parallel. Each world features its own unique pathways, enemies, characters, and, of course, treasures.
So basically you can create your own bonfires, but they come at a significant cost. Not sure how I feel about that. I like the idea of creating your own bonfires. I like the idea that they're somewhat limited, but when you say something like significant cost, you did say you can only have one. See, I think it'd be cooler if you have all of these patches and you can choose, oh, I want to have my thing here. And then you can go around the level and then later be like, oh, now I want to actually move it here. Then again, I don't know. I'll have to play the game to actually get a good feel for it. But initially, I'm a little bit reticent about the idea of these being prohibitively expensive because I know what I'm like. And I don't know if other players are like that. Let me know in the comment section below. But me, I'm the guy that, like, for instance, in Dark Souls, I'll collect all the divine blessings. Never use them. I will never use them because, you know, I might need them later. Despite the fact that I know pretty much everything there is to know about the game, all of the bosses that I'm going to face, all of the weapons that I'm going to get, all of the things, all of the situations where the divine blessing would be useful, I'll never use it because I can always use it later. You know? I can't be the only one. There's got to be more of you out there where you're just like, you hoard all the consumables and you never use them. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
We can now use this crafted vestige to return to Axiom.
Okay, so this is what allows you to return. The fact that you can only have one, that means that per level, if you then die further ahead, you have to come all the way back. But it also means that you could potentially advance the level in Umbral up to a certain point and find like maybe an organic way back. I don't know. That's some fall damage right there. Wish they'd show the these animations lack a bit of weight. I wish they'd show the UI. I really wanted to see the UI, but like here, like watch that parry. Let me actually go. Let's go slow-mo. Where's this thing? Like, you see how you did a successful parry, but the enemy didn't even react to it? Isn't that weird? Like, look. Or maybe we missed the parry. I don't know. But it's the sound almost makes it seem like you successfully parried, but the visual animation makes it seem like you whiffed it. I don't know. Or maybe you need to successfully parry twice in order to fully break their gauge or something. What triggered that that finisher though? I'm sorry, I know that I'm rewatching this one repeatedly, but it's important. Okay, so the charge attack is what busted up his stagger, and then... Oosh. That looks alright. Ooh, nice.
We can
Sparta
peer into the secondary realm at any time by raising the umbral lamp. Though, be advised, this also renders you vulnerable to its inhabitants.
Oh, that means that if you use it, then stuff that's on the other world can attack you? Imagine just... I'm just taking a quick little peek, and there's like a giant boss on the other side, punches you right in the face. That'll make for some hilarious interactions.
We will now use the lamp to cross over to Umbral, though
How?
doing so will consume one of our 2 lives, and it isn't so easy to return to the world of the living.
So you have 2 lives on each level, and using this consumes one of them.
Many enemies require a different approach to combat.
Dude, the way that they're doing these worlds means there's going to be so many secrets in the game, and I'm here for it. Like, that's actually something that I've been really enjoying about Remnant 2, is the amount of secrets that are in the game. And it harkens back to a time, and I really hope that more games get to this point. It harkens back to a time where people wouldn't just go to like a wiki to see the solution to everything in a game. And I hope we can go back to that time where the gaming community as a whole actually experiences games blind, as opposed to, oh no, I know exactly where the item that I want is and the other thing is, and you have all this information before you even set foot into the game. Like, you know, I like the idea of there being a bunch of secrets that are not just going to be straight up documented in a wiki at the release of the game. That's potentially one of the major things that I'm constantly getting excited over when I'm playing Remnant 2. So I'm hoping they're able to reproduce some of that with Lords of the Fallen.
This mendacious visage, for example, is only vulnerable when attacked from the back, or when it reveals its true form.
Invincibility frames confirmed, which was expected. Bye-bye. What is that? In the back there was an interactable. What is this? Oh. Wait, what? You use that to extract items off of them. Visuals are looking pretty good in my opinion.
You'll also come across permanent vestiges on your travels. As well as using these to return to Axiom, you can also level up your stats at these locations.
Okay. Oh god. What is that helmet? Crazy witch lady helmet? Like what?
3 schools of sorcery can be mastered. Rogar,
3.
Radiant, and Umbral, each specializing in a different area of the arcane and requiring a different catalyst to cast.
So that we do have catalysts. I'm wondering if when you cast a spell it automatically equips it, or if you have to do it manually. For record, I would prefer if it would just did it automatically, because having to constantly swap between weapons is a bit of a hassle, personally.
Our current build is adept in Rogar, characterized by devastating pyromantic attacks.
Oh, I like whatever the faith-looking sorcery is that dude's got going. Like, that looks badass. Some paladin-type shenanigans. And it's like, I really dig that this really goes into religious tone. I mean, when I mean religious tones, I'm talking about how the whole self-flagellation and stuff of zealots, because, like, if you notice, even though it's holy, it's got, like, all of this blood coming out of it, right? almost like a self-flagellation thing, and you'll see barbs and whatnot. Like, if you pay attention to the spell, it's almost like a bunch of barbs. And look, more barbs coming off of his special attack there. I like the theming that is going on there. Got a flamethrower going off. This is an intense fight. This almost looks like a boss fight. But I don't think that was a boss. Damn. I don't like this armor set. It's ugly.
An age-old borough built into the very cliff face, Pilgrim's Perch typifies the verticality of Moonstead.
Blighttown.
There are myriad pathways stretching both above and below.
Yep, Blighttown. Look, it's Blighttown. This is like them saying, "Hey, we have Blighttown in our game. Check it out."
With hidden areas, treasures, and NPCs all awaiting discovery.
Kick him. See ya. I like that. I like kicking things off of cliffs. It's always fun. It's always a good time. Okay, so you're raising up one of those things. Oh, it then becomes also visible here. But he just said that it costs a considerable amount of resources. You can only do it like, you can only have one. I don't know, I feel like the way that they're presenting it here makes it just seem like, yeah, I'm just going to activate a checkpoint. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I have a tendency to do that, as people tell me. Mortar shots. That's a lot of range. I like the range on that magic.
As a lamp bearer, all players are equipped with a devastating ability, the Soul Flay. By using one of a limited number of soul charges, we are able to extract the very soul of an enemy, ready to inflict significant damage.
You straight up rip their souls out and go to town. Like, what the hell? Also, this video needs more bitrate. Jesus Christ. The problem here, see, this is like a completely unrelated topic, but like the problem here is the rain falling. In case you've ever wondered why so many movies have some of their most critical scenes in falling rain, this is why. Because if you were to pirate it and, you know, compress it and take it through usual video processing methods to just then put it somewhere, it doesn't look as good online. That's why they, like for instance, the Matrix scene where Neo fights a bunch of Agent Smiths. It's raining. Why? If you pirate it, it looks like ass. But in this video, we would just need a little bit more bitrate. So they do say that it is a limited number of charges that you have in order to extract enemy souls and be able to deal damage directly to them. I'm wondering if you can regain those, hopefully, because one of the things that I don't like is extremely limiting mechanics. This is one of the reasons why I usually don't play a lot of sorcery in Souls games, because it's very limiting. Eventually you have to fall back down into melee. So I don't know, I like to see innovation there in terms of like, oh, instead of that, we're using cooldowns, we're using this other method of limiting the amount of spells that you can do, but it's not like a hard limit. You can regain it, you can do stuff with it. So I'm hoping that this soul mechanic is not just like, now you get 3 uses and that's what you get until the end of the level. because that makes it, again, it falls into one of those things where it's, well, it's a precious resource, might as well save it, and then you never use it. Or, well, at least that's me. Interesting that he enchanted his gloves with fire. This was like a while ago. Like, it was at the beginning of this that he enchanted the gloves with fire, right? Let me just look up the scene. It was shortly after this, I think. Yeah, see right here, he enchanted his gloves with fire. It was 850, let's call it 855. That thing's been going for a full minute. Wonder if it's number of hits. Okay, so that confirms it. You will have to swap into the talisman because, look, this time he swapped into the talisman, but didn't instantly cast the spell. Like, watch. He's got his regular weapon, swap into talisman, and then he's moving around, and now he's going to cast the spell. So you don't just swap and cast instantly, you have to actually swap into the talisman and then swap back into weapons. This, I feel... I'm curious, like, how do you guys feel about this? Is that something that you feel is cool and that it adds something to it, having to, oh, let me swap into the talisman and then swapping back into weapon? Or would you prefer to just have it, okay, I have my weapon, and you have like a talisman slot where your talisman stuff is equipped and that's what manages all of your spell casting and whatnot. But instead of having to swap to it, you just hit the spell button, whatever that button happens to be, or combination of buttons or whatever, and, you know, he goes, does the spell, and then goes instantly back to weapons. Because in these games, you know, unless you're doing something very specific, you're not usually walking, well, I guess in some builds you'll equip like the talisman in your left hand. Maybe it's the way that I play. Again, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just, you know, putting the question out there. How would you guys prefer that to be handled? Oh, that is a nasty spell. You just call forth some hounds from hell, and they just breathe fire on top of your target. That's pretty beastly. Oh, and they reposition. That was pretty sweet. That spell's pretty beast. Time to spend one of our lives to transition. Now I'm curious, before we go any further, was there a path that you could have kept on going? Yeah, I guess you could have kept on. I can't really tell if this is a dead end or not. Well, there's stairs, so you could go up. Looks like there's a path that you can keep on progressing through here. But if you go over here, there's a connection. So this is an optional path that you get to do. Oh man. This game's gonna be every OCD's person worst nightmare. You're gonna be constantly pulling out your lantern and going like, is there a path here? Path there?
Soul Flay ability can also be used to manipulate the very environment when in Umbral.
But it uses soul charges, so it's limited the amount that you can navigate. I think I'm overreading into the limited aspect. I mean, you wouldn't expect, oh, yeah, now just use all of your soul charges to navigate through here. I don't think they should block the player from navigating this. So maybe you only use soul charges when you're extracting the soul from enemies, and the Soul Flay ability, when used for navigation, maybe doesn't use those charges. That's what I would assume. Okay, finally something juicy. Let's see that. Okay, Fist of Insight, level 0, type fists, damage type blunt. That should be damage type pierce. And look at this. This is a piercing damage thing. What do you mean? Strength E, agility E, radiance, and inf D plus. Not sure what inf would stand for. Vicious close quarters weapon crafted by a fervent Adir worshipper who preferred to be up close and personal when making his point to heathens. While it was not only humans who fought alongside the judges during the rebellion, they made up the vast majority of the judges' forces, a fact that caused some of the humans. Okay. Attack power, physical. So this is a half and half weapon with physical damage as well as fire damage. Block projection 15%. The requirements. Okay, so inf is inferno. So radiance and inferno. Strength, agility, radiance, and inferno. Those are like your damage stats. I'm assuming that one of the schools of magic is going to go for radiance. The other one's going to go for inferno. Probably the one we're using goes for inferno. And then the other one will use a combination of both. Maybe heavy speculation here. You have some quick access items. Over on the weapons, I would assume that third weapon is the talisman. And I say third weapon, I mean the weapon on the right here. We have, these would be spells. This is where you would equip your spells, and it would be right bumper, right trigger. Okay, so depending on the button that you press when you have your talisman equipped, it is going to do a different spell. Here's your armor slots, ring slots. Only using one ring. Light. Oh, this is your encumbrance, most likely. You have 50 of every stat in this thing. They probably have an overpowered character for this demo. Equipment, inventory, character status. These are all things that you should be familiar with if you've played a Souls game before. So, yeah, pretty standard UI. Let's see, because they're going to show us another thing. Okay, you can change weapons here. We see some two pretty beefy axes. I like that. I like that a lot. We have a comparison here, which will show you... Let me see if they switch. Okay, here we go. Yeah, see, if you switch to one of the other weapons, it'll give you information about, okay, you're gaining physical damage, you're gaining fire, you're also gaining weight, which is a negative. This one blocks way better than the rest of the stuff, and it also scales off of Inferno at D+. The Lord's Axe, Grand Axes. Ooh, that's a beefy boy. What, no plunging attack? I'm disappointed. See, this is where I feel like they fail a little bit. Like, and this is a very personal thing. I'm not sure how people feel about it, but the feel of weight that you get from this weapon, from the animations, doesn't feel as good. Like, look at it. I mean, sure, there's a bit of a sensation there, but then you're just like... I know it's too fast. The recovery of it is too fast. But the thing is, probably for gameplay reasons, they need you to recover that fast because otherwise you're going to get punished. But it almost feels like... I don't know. There's something about the feeling of weight for this weapon that it doesn't strike me as right. But I am very specific about that. I acknowledge that. It's a me thing. It's not bad. I like that you can yeet them. Unfortunately, you can never really yeet the big ones. Why wouldn't you two-hand that axe, though? I feel like she's only doing one-handed attacks, right? Yeah, these are one-handed attacks. You should probably two-hand that thing. Unless you got the talisman. Maybe she got the talisman on the left hand? I don't know. Return back to Axiom.
We now find ourselves in Lower Calrath, an ever-burning district, renowned for its displays of barbarity.
Okay, so now we're playing a daggers type character with a bow. Those bow shots looked rough. Ooh, even just the animation. I'm hoping you guys can put in a little bit more work in that. I mean, look at this. The arrow stays in the air. Eesh. It's a little bit rough. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You can just do that? You don't have to fully traverse to the other side? But do remember, you're vulnerable to attacks. So if something attacks you while you're doing that, done. Fall.
We're now going to invite a second player to join us on our journey. This is easily achieved at any of the vestiges. You can choose to fight alongside a friend or a randomly selected player. Either way, your co-op companion will remain at your side for as long as you or they choose.
This is so good. Like I knew that this was the case because like I said, already did a deep dive in the channel. But like, I am not a huge fan of, oh yeah, I'll summon you for the boss fight and then you leave and blah. I'm wondering though if I don't remember at the time I did the deep dive, they might have talked about this, but I don't remember whether or not it requires an item for you to summon somebody. I like just having free flow co-op. I like that option to be there. Just let me summon somebody up and let them be in my game for as long as they want. I think that is cool.
As a Radiant Sorcerer, our ally is able to buff either character with various enhancements.
Now, what would be cool to hear them talk about is how we make the difficulty still remain challenging. Is like, oh, well, we improved the AI, we put more enemies, or we, increased our health pool. Like, what are you doing to ensure that summoning somebody doesn't just make the game brutally easier? With the amount of spells that he's shooting out, I feel like this kind of answers one of my early questions. They're probably on some type of resource system that you can regenerate somehow, because my man's just busting out spells like just nonstop, which means that probably spell casting builds are going to be very viable, stuff that actually focuses on you mostly using spells to dispatch enemies, which is interesting. That's pretty legit, the way that he was able to block with those two daggers. He blocked what appeared to be most of the damage. The ambience in these levels actually looks interesting. Bonk. You hear the sound that made? It was like bonk. Just axed him right in the back of the head. What? Bonk. I love how simple that sounded. It's like chonk. It's like straight up. And the way that he gets him too. Like, look at that. That's hilarious. I mean, come on, watch. Watch. We're going to go frame by frame. Oh, or maybe not, because this is a wait. Let me lower this, because we're only recording at 1440p anyway. Wait for it. He comes out of nowhere. Look at him. He's just like over here. Oh. Chunk. Look at the blood spurting out from the back of his head. Dude, he got him right in the back of the head. Bonk. God, that's hilarious. Yeah, beat him with the cross. In the name of Radiance. You know I'm going to be running around with a one-handed axe and a shield.
It appears our way is blocked by an umbral entity. We will need to track its tendrils in order to locate and expel the source of its power.
I wonder if the other player can see when you put up the lantern. I would assume they can. Well, now how do you swap back? Because now you're stuck in this mode. Oh, there's a thing right there. I can't tell if they're an Axiom or Umbral.
Finally,
I think
it's
this is
time
Axiom.
to face off against the colossal spurned progeny, Scourge of Calrath.
He's playing with the corpse like, oh, it doesn't fit. Face only a mother could love. Oh, maybe the mother's inside him? That leg's not looking too hot. See, this is why you don't skip leg day. Look at these legs. I mean, come on, you're a big beefy boy, but look at these pathetic legs. He's got a whole ass pyromancer inside him. Those chicken legs. That was a pretty cool boss fight.
Instead awaits you. Pre-order Lords of the Fallen now and prepare to unleash the darkness on Friday, the 13th of October.
It's Friday the 13th because, of course. Lords of the Fallen, pre-order now, 13th of October. Yeah, this is going to be one that we're definitely going to be checking out here in the channel. So if you're curious, once this comes out, or if I'm able to, if I'm granted access or something, I'll report to you as soon as I'm allowed to. But yeah, considering that recently I haven't gotten a whole lot of that, I'm not necessarily counting on it. So probably 13th of October, or if they have some kind of like, no, if they're releasing on the 13th, I wouldn't assume them to do like the whole 3-day early access thing. But if they do, we'll just pick up that one and, I'll give you guys my thoughts as we go along. But yeah, that was a pretty good trailer. Overall, I'm still very interested. There were a couple of things here and there that I know was a little bit nitpicky in terms of animations and whatnot. That's because me and animations, you guys know me, that's just the way that I roll. But overall, I think it's a very interesting concept. I think that the gameplay looked pretty friggin' solid. And we'll see what it's like when the game actually releases. Let me know what you thought about this gameplay in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.